Please draw my chariot between the two armies, so that I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees. Thus, he is addressed herein as infallible. As charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna, and since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. In all circumstances, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishikesha, the Lord of the total senses. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. He takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. Since he is master, everyone is under his orders, and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master of all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come onto the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. This is a beautiful, beautiful report. And it explains so many wonderful things. You number one point, that is, Krishna never fails in his affection for his devotees. And thus, he is addressed herein as infallible. We should really pay attention to this one sentence. Krishna never fails in his affection for his devotees. And thus, he is addressed herein as infallible. It means that you can always count on Krishna. He's going to never let you down. If you're a sincere devotee, even the most simple devotees, but they just do their service honestly, and there's no, lust, anger, greed, and that way Krishna becomes very affectionate for his devotees, and he'll do everything possible to help them. And then it says another point, that the devotee is always ready to render service to the Lord. And similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. And Krishna takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. Okay. But when Krishna finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master of all circumstances. I'm going to meditate on this. It's a really wonderful statement. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master of all circumstances. Okay. So we'll go to text 23. So Arjuna is saying, let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans in collaboration with his father, Dhritarashtra. Now, see, Dhritarashtra is supposed to protect the Pandavas, right? Because Dhritarashtra became the protector of the sons of Pandu after Pandu died. But here we see that he is angry. He's trying to kill him. You know, so it's unbelievable. And here it says, let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. So Duryodhana is the evil-minded son. But Dhritarashtra is not strong enough, or not, let's say, because of a bodily connection to his son, he can't stop him from being evil.
I mean, he himself had desire for the kingdom, right, Maharaj? Like
Dhritarashtra.
I mean, apparently he wanted to be the king first.
Maybe.
Like he was the eldest one first. So he was, even though he was born blind,
right,
somehow he wanted to be the king.
No, he couldn't.
And he couldn't.
Yeah.
And then eventually when Pandu died and then he got it, now he wants to hold it.
Yeah, but he
Through
wanted
his
his son to become the king.
Yeah.
And because of material attachments. So he's willing to kill the Pandavas or see them killed. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans in collaboration with his father, Dhritarashtra.
Yeah.
Therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather. Whoa. That means they're all corrupt. All the people that joined Duryodhana. Arjuna wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were. But he had no intention of proposing peace negotiations with them. It was also a fact that he wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face, although he was quite confident of victory because Krishna was sitting by his side. That's a very nice point. We should always want Krishna sitting, and helping us, sitting by his side. Wow. Just imagine that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, is the chariot driver of Arjuna. In other words, he's taking a subordinate position to his devotee, which gives him more pleasure than taking a superior position to his devotee. Okay. A lot of nice points are being made here. But this is very nice the way Prabhupada says, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather, meaning they're all evil, like Duryodhana.
Birds of the same
feather. All birds of the same feather, yes. Text 24. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, Having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. Okay, so basically, Krishna drives the chariot in the midst of the two armies so Arjuna can see who's there. In this verse, Arjuna referred to as Gudakesha. Yeah, it is. Evam Ukto Hrishikesha Gudakesena Bharata Semayor Ubayor Madhye Sthapaika Pratuttamam. Very nice verse. In this verse, Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesha. Gudaka means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Gudakesha. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjuna conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. Nice point. As a great devotee of Krishna, he could not forget Krishna even for a moment, because that is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness or samadhi. As Hrishikesha, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he did so and spoke as follows. All right. Krishna is Hrishikesha, the director of the senses and mind. Text 25. In the presence of Bhisma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As the supersoul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. Now let's see what it is. The use of the word Hrishikesha in this connection indicates that he, meaning Krishna, knew everything. And the word Partha, or the son of Kunti or Krita, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Krita, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva, he had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt, Krita. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. Whoa. Text 26. There, Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Purishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhisma and Somadat, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Salya and Sakuni, brothers like Duryodhana, sons like Lakshman, friends like Aswatthama, well-wishers like Kritavarma, etc. He could see also the armies which contained many of his friends. Text 27. Text 27. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Purport of Srila Prabhupada. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all good qualities, which are found in godly persons or in the demigods. Whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications, by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives in the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, the characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinshana sarvir vinayastatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahatmana manoratana sati dahavato vahi. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of God has all the good qualities of demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental platform and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Now, this is a very important verse. Let's see what my notes are here. Let's see. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Even if he is adept at practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can such a man possess good qualities? Okay, so basically, this is a quote from
Translation.
No, Maharaj, what he's reading from the separate quote.
Yeah. It's an alternate translation.
For that verse.
Yeah.
So in Bhagavatam, that is what is given, Maharaj. In Bhagavatam 5:18-12, all the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities.
Mhm.
Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculation and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man?
Alternate translation. Good. So, there's a difference between weakness and soft-heartedness. Let's see what it says. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. Yeah. So, when someone's weak has weaknesses, it's because they're a coward. They can't make the. They become afraid, and out of fear, they basically want to avoid taking any responsibilities. They want to basically run away from whatever situation they're in. But here he's saying soft-heartedness. He's feeling for the soldiers on both sides because he knows that they're all going to be killed. And out of his soft-heartedness, where does Prabhupada say he was also crying, right? So it wasn't because of weakness, but it was because of his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord.
It's a kind of compassion.
Yes. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods, but one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he's hovering on the mental platform and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Now, that's a very important verse. Yeah, like Duryodhana was not really a devotee. He was very intelligent. He was a good organizer, but he lacked the the qualities that Arjuna had. Arjuna was actually a devotee. Therefore, he became overwhelmed when he saw all his blood relatives come to fight with him. He was not a coward. He was going to fight. But, he felt very bad that they're going to have to kill all these people who are great devotees and close relatives of his. Right? Soft-hearted. Yeah. So it says here, as far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that Not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. Yes. Okay. So, and then this verse, yes, bhakti bhagavat yakinchana. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigod. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on a mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. So Arjuna had unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead, and he had all good qualities of the demigods. But Duryodhana, because he was not a devotee of the Lord, he only had material qualifications, and his material qualifications were highly developed. He's a very good organizer, politician, and so forth. But that is of little value, let's put it like that. It's of little value. Yeah. This is because he is suffering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Well, now we know why Arjuna wanted Krishna on his side, and Duryodhana wanted Krishna's army on his side. He didn't value the unique, let's say, contribution of Krishna as Arjuna did. He was more concerned about numbers. Yes. And that's why he was defeated. Prabhupada also says that soft-heartedness is a characteristic of a pure devotee. That doesn't mean someone's a coward. It just means that they have great empathy
Compassion.
for others. That word of empathy. EMPH8.
The ability to understand and share the feelings of another.
Yes. Yes. It's a very nice word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The ability to feel the feelings of another. What's it say?
Understand and share the feelings of him.
Yeah.
Maharaj, if you
We're
want
finished?
to,
Yeah. All right, we'll stop right there on text 29.
we'll continue from text 29.
Are there any questions? Any questions?
Any questions online?
Maharaj, a devotee will have empathy for all living entities, right?
Yeah.
Not just other devotees.
Yes. Yeah, empathetic. That's a sign of a very highly evolved human being. They can feel the happiness and misery of others. And therefore, they are genuinely, try to comfort people having problems. And it's genuine because they can feel, the suffering that other people are going through. It's a nice word, empathy. Because you can feel the emotions of another person. So you have to not be self-centered to do that. You have to actually have warm feelings for others and see the equality of all people. So it doesn't matter what color they are, it doesn't matter what nationality they are, they're still human beings, and all human beings have the same problem: birth, death, old age, and disease. So they're all, um, you know, grappling or disturbed by these things, and sometimes it's very severe, as we're seeing now, like in Palestine. Very, very horrible situation. There's genocide going on. And in other places like Darfur and Africa, there's genocide going on there too. Terrible.
Was empathetic even to the people who kept on pestering him and tried to kill him since his childhood. They were his enemies essentially, but still he was empathetic to them,
Yeah.
to the opposite party, even the
Well,
soldiers. Yeah.
he was protected by Krishna. That's our best protection. Krishna takes an interest in you because you have an interest in him. So that's the beginning of wisdom, when you choose to have an interest in Krishna. Then Krishna helps you in every way. And how do you take an interest in Krishna? You chant his holy names. And you hear about Krishna from bona fide devotees and engage in devotional service for the Lord. And you always say nice things or choice poetry glorifying Krishna. Like, for example, in the 11th chapter of Gita, text 1137, 11th chapter 37. O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. And the purport says, this is chapter 37. First, by this offering of obeisances, Arjuna indicates that Krishna is worshipable by everyone. He is all-pervading, and he is the soul of every soul. Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Mahatma, which means that he is the most magnanimous and unlimited. Ananta indicates that there is nothing which is not covered by the influence and energy of the Supreme Lord. And Devasa means that he is the controller of all demigods and is above them all. He is the shelter of the whole universe. Arjuna also thought that it was fitting that all the perfect living entities and powerful demigods offer their respectful obeisances unto him, meaning Krishna, because no one is greater than him. Arjuna especially mentions that Krishna is greater than Brahma, because Brahma is created by him, and Brahma is born out of the lotus stem grown from the navel abdomen of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who is Krishna's plenary expansion. Therefore, Brahma and Lord Shiva, who is born of Brahma, and all other demigods must offer their respectful obeisances. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that the Lord is respected by Lord Shiva and Brahma, and similarly other demigods. The word Aksharam is very significant because this material creation is subject to destruction, but the Lord is above this material creation. He is the cause of all causes, and being so, he is superior to all the conditioned souls within this material nature, as well as the material cosmic manifestation itself. He is therefore the all-great supreme. Tam Adideva Purusha Puranas Tvam asya visvasya param nidanam vitasya vitase vedyam cha param chadam tvayatatam vishwam anantarupa. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes, O limitless form. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. And purport to that, this is 11th chapter, 38th verse. Everything is resting on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore he is the ultimate rest. Nidanam means that everything, even the Brahman effulgence, rests on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the knower of everything that is happening in this world, and if knowledge has any end, he is the end of all knowledge. Therefore he is the known and the knowable. He is the object of knowledge because he is all-pervading. Because he is the cause in the spiritual world, he is transcendental. He is also the chief personality in the transcendental world. So he's the knower of everything and the knowable at the same time. So it's a very nice verse in 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. These are great verses glorifying Krishna. It's very nice to repeat them at least once a day. The whole bunch, the whole 11th chapters is glorifying Krishna with choice poetry. Okay, are there any questions? Any questions?
Any questions online? No, no.
Okay, no questions? No answers.
Very
How many people were listening?
7 people were there.